Hello everyone and welcome to this fourth video about my topic how to prove that we can still evolve with the technology. To begin with, I want to share you a comment that I did on the first video. I told you that I had an appendix surgery and my scar was like this, just a little dot on my stomach. And if you ask, for example, a person that is, I don't know, maybe 5 or 7 years older than you that had an appendix surgery, he or she could tell you that the scar was like this. It is also shorter than the other one, but it is something bigger. And if you ask, for example, someone that is 30 or 40 years older than you, he or she could tell you that maybe the scar was like this, bigger. Maybe it could go from your chest to your stomach, or maybe in their country or in their city it wasn't a surgery for the appendix. And of course, how do we pass from this to this? Just a little bit. Well, you know the answer with the technology. The technology came here, of course, to help us with our communication. Now you are seeing me in front of a camera in a platform that someone designed to share videos. You have a cell phone to make some calls and stay in touch with your family. And what about the medicine? Of course, we have improved a lot with the technology in the medicine area, because without the technology we couldn't be here. For example, when you're born, the surgery that your mom has taken to, for example, if you weren't born with a natural process, you could be born with something that is called cesarean, that they do a surgery to your mom because now they have complications, and of course they catch you and now you're born. But without that process, you would have born, but maybe with some complications or some secondary issues that you could have now. There are a lot of complications without the technology. For example, some surgery. I remember that for example, if you watch some medicine TV series, I don't know, there are a lot of series that talk about doctors and medicine. They talk about a lot of process, a lot even of experimental process that tries, and they are always with the involved with the technology. For example, they use a machine to begin with the process of brain surgery, because the brain is very complicated to understand, of course, and of course very complicated to make a surgery with it. So it is important to have a technology, because now you program something and you don't have the technology, cannot feel, for example, some feelings that you could feel. For example, the technology couldn't feel some nervous. When you are going to do a surgery, you are always nervous, because if you do something wrong, the patient would die, or maybe it would have some complications, and of course the family wouldn't be nicer to you anymore. But the technology could help us, because it doesn't have feelings. It just have to do a task, and if you program the machine well, the task is going to be well, and you could make the surgery without some complications that you would have if you are going to do the surgery by yourself. So the technology helps us in that emotional way, because it helps us to do a surgery almost perfectly, right? It also helps us to begin some process. For example, this is our finger. So if you know this finger, could not enter, for example, when you are doing a surgery in your stomach, because maybe it is going to touch something that could harm you in, I don't know, in 5 years ago. That's what the technology helps you now. They have like a little camera, and they put a string on it, and they move the string inside of you, and they see what can they do to solve your issue or health problem, and that's very nice because now the surgery is not a very, I don't know, um, it is not very like explicit because they don't have to open you up and they see, for example, your lungs or your heart or something like that, just to take out a little part that is having trouble with your body, and that's nice. I will be sharing you some documents on the description so you could check some surgeries that are made that you could make with the technology. Of course, if you ask a doctor now, the doctor could tell you that maybe he or she knows how to do the last appendix surgery. For example, when you are studying at the university, they show you how the surgery was maybe about 50 or 20 years ago, and that's okay because now they also know what to do if they do not have the technology or the necessary instruments to do the surgery, and that's very important because of course the technology helps us, but what happens if we do not have access to the technology? What can we do? And of course, if you ask a doctor, they are not dependent about the technology. They know how to do a surgery, they know how to put anesthesia, and they know how to do an excellent job. So if you are going to study medicine, of course I recommend you to do not depend on the technology, because if you, for example, we are not perfect, and of course the things that we produce are also not perfect because we are not perfect, so we cannot produce something perfect while we are imperfect. So if, for example, the machine or I don't know, the tool that you are going to use, the little camera, fails, what are you going to do in the surgery if, for example, if it's an emergency? So try to not be dependent if you are going to study medicine, and of course I always recommend you to read something about it, and that's it. I hope you like this video. I'm going to share with you some documents or links in the comments to, if you want to read or check something about the technology, and leave a comment if you want. Thank you for watching this video, and see you soon.